Why do you think Israel is worse than Russia?
Yeah, Israel is worse. Okay, wait. It seems to me that Russia is targeting Ukrainians as a whole, but in terms of okay, when I say worse, I mean like worse in terms of genocide, worse in terms of destroying the spirit of who their victims are. You know, the population spirit in like a vague sense. I think the spirit of the Gazans, like this is very gay, you know, literature shit. The spirit of the Gazans have been far more destroyed than the Ukrainians,
I don't.
personally, because of the asymmetry of it all, and
I mean,
also the scale
if
of it.
you okay, can I? This is. I think we're kind of getting to the heart of a general issue that I probably have with you, and that I certainly have with people like Ogre Boy, but maybe less so with him because he seems to be, or like maybe the same amount. I don't know. Um, um. Oh my God, Toby. Yes, Toby was said ask him about how many pull-ups he can do. Because you were
Oh,
calling everybody fat in gay baby jail,
oh,
apparently.
oh,
I'm
yeah. Okay, you know, I feel like I feel like that. Okay, I was rage baiting a bit, right? Because why not? But dude, like okay, I only started fucking doing that because people started being weird to me, in GBJ. So I was like, okay, well, if you want a fucking lol cow, let me be your fucking lol cow. And I just started like fucking shitting on everyone, like
You know
started
what?
actually being
I'm
changed,
glad that fun and good times are had by all, okay? In the gay baby thing. Like I'm glad that
Yeah,
you've
ow.
been a pretty good sport about all of this because the last time we had someone in here like you, actually I think that person was worse than you. They just decided to leave and because they didn't want to have they just didn't want to do it. They just cried and left. So you know what? Thanks for sticking around and arguing with us. Yeah.
I mean, I like arguing, but like at the same, I don't, I don't think Lonerbox, I don't think that Discord is interested in like actually having good discussions. So
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's
I'll probably just use it to shit around.
no, Toby, I'm not talking about Stove. I'm talking about that other guy whose name I can't remember. The actual communist like Hassan, former Vosh fan, not Teuton. I can't remember his name now. Oh, Bluestone, that guy. Yeah. I think I gay babied him and then freed him, and then he immediately went crazy, and then he just got banned. Or no, I put him back in gay baby, and then he just left because he just crashed out. Anyway, so I guess like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. We'll just have this conversation because I haven't really had this conversation on voice with anyone really before except Teuton, and that made me want to kill myself. I don't know if it's a genocide, okay? I don't have enough information to know that it's a genocide. Would you like me to explain why I feel that I don't have enough information? I'm assuming you think that you have enough information because that you see high civilian death counts. Is that correct?
No, I don't. I wouldn't just consider the high civilian death counts as. I think there's enough evidence that dude, I should prepare a fucking thesis on this because it is hard to because obviously there isn't like a fucking specific documentation that you know specifically points out that we are going to kill the Palestinian people by Netanyahu or any of his governments, right? But based on previous presidents of genocide, this is not something that was needed. Um, in Srebrenica or yeah, I think in Srebrenica or another genocide case. I'm drawing blanks here, but it was ruled, so we can use it as a legal precedent that genocidal intent can be inferred by
Yeah,
action,
of course.
right? Can be
Yes.
inferred by action
Yeah.
or can be inferred by the rules of the ground. I think the scale as to what is happening right now, like genocide, like when you're thinking of genocide, I hate that a lot of people just consider it as like killing, you know, like It is
I
obviously
mean,
more something to do with the destruction of the population in a
people
general sense,
people don't,
right?
well, no, it is the destruction in whole or in part of a group of
In
people.
whole or in part
It's
of a
not
group of people,
just,
right?
yes, but like it's
And
not.
how, but like there are subclauses as to what that can count and what genocidal actions can be
Yes,
inferred
there are
from
a
that.
bunch of things. So okay,
And it's
okay.
not just killing,
Here's
right? It's
my,
not just killing.
I mean,
It
no,
like the main
it kind of it, I mean, it's the destruction of
killing. It's not just killing.
it is, I mean, if we're going to take the strict legal definition into account, because it feels like you have like this weird like sort of vibes definition of it, where you're talking about like the spirit of a people and all this stuff, and like the only definition that I care about is the legal definition as defined in the Geneva
Sure, we can.
Convention, because that's the only one that
Now we're talking about the
matters.
legal definition, right? But in the legal definition, there are subclauses directly under it,
Yeah,
which counts as
there
genocidal
are.
action. That is not necessarily killing. Like, okay. One of the reasons why Ukraine is considered a genocide is because of the kidnappings, right?
Um, yes, that is correct. Yes,
Yes.
but and that in that case, but that's because that's like you're talking about like methods like, or methods imposed to produce or to prevent members or prevent bursts among the groups, or the other one, which was like the kidnapping
Transferring
of
children,
yeah, the
kidnapping children.
kidnapping, yeah, because the purpose of them doing that is what they are trying to do basically is they're trying to destroy the Ukrainians as a people by forcefully Russifying them. And that's why they would say that that is genocide. Um because that like they're taking away their kids and brainwashing them to thinking, because like it's not like they're not trying to like wipe out like the Ukrainian bloodline or the Ukrainian race or whatever, because as far as they're concerned that already doesn't exist. They think that Ukrainians are just Russians, or they call them little Russians, right? And they don't believe that they are a real group of people. They don't think their country is real, and they're basically trying to like wipe out any semblance that Ukrainians have of being an identity that is separate from Russian. And so they're kind of viewing it in a unique way there. But yeah, I would still consider that to be genocidal. But they are also doing other things that I think like further counts towards that, such as wiping out anybody that they would consider to be dissenters. And you see this when they did the Bucha massacre, right? Or the massacres in Izium. And like they're burying people in mass graves and stuff. But so, I mean, is that what you mean when you're talking about like wiping out like the spirit of the people or what have you? Like just the destruction of of like the identity, like the, in this case, the Ukrainian identity?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Like, no, my point with the kidnapping things is I wanted to move like the definition of genocide into a framework that is a little bit less towards killing, that is a little bit further away from killing, because I don't think
I mean,
that
most
exhausts
of it is about killing, but I understand what you were saying with regards to like the destruction of but cultural
I mean, no, like,
destruction.
okay, with Uyghur, I don't think they had mass killing campaigns.
No, they didn't. But in that case, they were doing. So I have the Genocide Convention up here. In that case, they were doing de-imposing members intended to
Yeah,
prevent
exactly.
births within the group. Which, yeah, that's not
That's not
directly
killing.
killing, but that is, yeah, but
No,
it's
but
still,
that's my point,
yeah.
right? Like, there's other clauses that like, so when you point to me, when you try to present my position on why I think Gaza is a genocide, and the only reason that I would have is that there's a high civilian kill count. That's not really part of it,
Okay, well then, can you
or
explain
that is
other
part of it, but
things
that's not
that contribute to that,
all
like
of
with
it.
the examples?
I feel like, hmm, like,
Because I believe in here it says something about how cultural destruction alone does not suffice.
like cultural. I will know. What do you mean by cultural destruction? Like what happened in Tibet,
um,
where there were what happened in Tibet was it was kind of just like Hanization, Han Sinicization with the Hans.
Yeah, well, they call that ethnocide, I think, which is a different thing, or at least I could have sworn
Yeah,
that
it's like it's cultural genocide, but like that's I think with an actual genocide, you need physical aspects of it. And with Gaza, I think relative to what their victims are, which is the Gazans, it seems like that they're doing it at such a rate where it is so unnecessary, and it is so there's it like it comes from a systematic approach where they understand that a lot of the actions that they're doing is unnecessary. However, they're still doing it to punish the people of Palestine because because in their mind it is so that there's no innocence in Gaza. You know, it is so that everyone is basically Hamas. We don't really fucking care. Everyone, like,
um
that's my take on it.
okay, Addy, I'll
Like
come to that in a
this is
second, but I want to ask I'm going down a line of questioning here. Anyway, I like the thing is that so while I understand and like to an extent I understand like yes there was an element I think to a certain extent of collective punishment or at least like at the beginning when they turned off the water and closed it like that shit was insane obviously that was
no,
definitely
I
like
can
the
I can point you like dude, I can point you examples as to why, like, so, like, okay, they've been destroying hospitals that I don't think that's necessary. They've been destroying the blockade. I don't think that's necessary. Like
wait wait wait
they're
wait
even
wait
blocking
wait
like baby formulas and like
hold on the you
medical
don't
schools and anesthesia. I don't like it just feels like as a whole, as a whole, it feels so unnecessary that I can't really point it to anything other than like they just want these people to suffer,
where wait a
and
minute
they're
wait
trying to find a post hoc analysis as to
okay
a post hoc reasoning as
hold
to
on a
well,
sec wait
because
wait
it's
wait
attributed to this.
So here's let me ask. So now you're making me. I need to ask a couple questions with regards to that. So you're saying you think the blockade is unnecessary. Are you under the impression that like that Israel was just completely blocking aid like at the beginning of the war? I'm not talking about. I recognize there were periods where they were like in May they did like basically a siege where they completely cut off aid and they would not open the gates and they did that because Donald Trump let them and there's no way that Biden or Kamala would have let them get away with that, but Trump did.
Well, no, not completely block. I think they're still restricting aid. And
Um, right
I think
now,
wait,
no, they're
you don't
not. The
you don't
the
okay, right now, no, I think right now there's full flow, but like they did admit to restricting aid.
they restricted aid so that they could check it, but aid was still getting in and able to go to the other side, and there was enough
Yeah, but
getting in.
I don't understand this as well. So they're not checking any of it right now.
I don't know if that's the case. I don't. I would imagine that they must be checking it now. Like, but
Of
it's
course,
I.
though, because Hamas is still in power. I don't think
but
I think this is an excuse, though. I don't know. Like,
before the
because it doesn't make sense
war,
why one of the clauses would be there would be a full flow of aid. Like, it has to be that they have had been restricting aid, and
so
I don't
hold
know
on.
like
A full
is
flow
is it
of
for a good reason?
yes, just a sec. I'll explain. Before the war, there that like I believe they mean like when they say a full flow of aid, they're talking about like aid going back to like pre-war levels basically, or that like aid is being opened and let in. But that doesn't mean Israel's not going to check it. Like there's no way Israel isn't still checking stuff. Like do you understand like why Israel did a blockade on Gaza in the first place, like to begin with, like before October 7th when all this started?
I mean, yeah, I mean, they still have to check for their materials, right? Like,
No, I'm asking like do you understand why Israel started blockading Gaza? Like all a long time ago, all the way back in like 2007, I think is when they did it.
wait, is it like because Hamas were using them to create bombs,
Yeah, Hamas was
or like
shooting Hamas
Hamas was
was
bombing them?
yes, Hamas was shooting
Right,
rockets into Israel. That's why Israel blockaded
right.
the
Okay,
Gaza Strip.
I know, no, but that's not like that's not what I thought you were asking.
That
But
that's what I was asking because there are lots of people who either don't know that or who ignore that and then go on about how unjust Israel's blockade was. I think that Israel's
okay, but
blockade
that's not what I'm
was
obviously talking about within the context of the war, right?
okay. Yeah.
Like,
Like
But
it,
in the context,
have you seen the actual numbers? Because the numbers are available for like the number of trucks that were able to get in every day, the number of trucks that were going in post or pre-war, and all of that stuff, and how much the Gazans would need. And there was absolutely like a failure of distribution, but it wasn't because Israel wasn't letting the trucks in. I'm talking about like nearer to the beginning of the war. Like once they reopened the crossings, they were letting them in. Yeah, they would inspect stuff, but trucks were definitely getting in. Now there was like there was failures with regards to distribution, but that's not just that's on both Israel and Hamas. Obviously, like in areas Israel controls, I think they should have facilitated distribution, and there was issues with regards to that. But like all this stuff about how like Gaza was like suffering from a famine, like from the jump or whatever, or like the people of Gaza were starving and they weren't able to get enough food. Like that wasn't something that actually became true until like May when they did like the crazy total siege, and then people actually did start to starve because when they ran out of food, they didn't have enough, and they did eventually run out of food after everything that had been stockpiled during the January ceasefire, right? But by that point, anytime anybody screamed about the blood, or anyone who was raising that alarm, they weren't even taken seriously anymore because of all the previous times everybody said Gaza was on the brink of famine or Gaza was suffering from famine. Which, yeah,
I think I think people were still taking them seriously.
I mean, yeah, some
But
people
like, okay,
did, but it was
this is
easier
not like
for
most
right wingers to dismiss it, right? Anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But
right
go on.
wingers in where though. I'm not sure. Like right now, only
I
Trump at back at that time could have affected that.
I mean,
But
right
okay,
wingers
this is not.
in Israel, but whatever. Like I said, that doesn't matter. That's just like a random complaint that I have about the way in which that like people on the left handle this whole situation. Like the exaggeration of Israel's war crimes is like a thing that I don't think is good, because then when Israel actually does do bad shit, it like isn't taken as seriously by people on the other side when the alarm is raised, because we've spent all this time saying Israel's already been doing this bad shit. But that I don't want to turn this into a discussion about that. Let's talk about the
Okay,
aid.
I mean,
Go on.
I would argue that I don't think it would have made a difference in how right wingers would have framed it. But I mean, sure. Um,
It might
like
have with people in the
part of it,
middle though, but go on.
part of it is well, like okay, so that's part of it, the starvation and everything. But like, it just seems like total, the total as well. That I wanted to point as well. What is it called when you're not trying to differentiate between things? When
Discernment,
you're not trying to distinct. Yeah, sure.
discernment.
When you're not trying to distinctify between civilians and
The
combatants.
principle of distinction.
Yeah, the principle of distinction. I think there's a lot of evidence that that wasn't really followed, and I think there's a lot of evidence that the war was prolonged at such a point where it wasn't military necessary. Just all those things adding up together feels like this war wasn't really done. Like I question the intents of this war more from a that I question the intents of this war more from a what is it, a military, advantageous,
Okay. All
military
right.
motivation,
Okay.
to
All right.
just wanting to fucking punish the fuck out of the Palestinians.
Okay. Do
And
you
I think,
Okay, wait. No, hold on. Now I'm gonna, because you I just let you ramble a whole bunch, which is fair because I asked you to, but do you deny that Hamas co-locates in civilian areas and that they have tunnels built under hospitals and the entrances to those tunnels in hospitals, that they set up shop there, that their tunnels are that they booby trap civilian homes and they put their tunnels entrances in civilian homes and they fire rockets out of civilian areas? Do you accept that this is true?
yeah,
Okay,
I don't think
so do you
I don't know if I don't like dude, even that guy David admitted like there was probably a lot of things that Israelis could have done as well.
Yeah,
Like I don't think this is an excuse.
I agree. No, I'm not. Well, the thing is that the issue
Okay,
is
if okay. Let me ask you this question. If okay, let's assume that Hamas did all that shit as well, right?
they did, but
But
yes,
let's assume that yeah, no, let's assume like as well in this hypothetical that I'm creating right now, right? As so let's assume that Hamas is still the same bad guy, and let's assume that Israel is a perfect actor. How many like do you
I
think there would
th-
have been a significant
no,
amount of lives?
I think that the number of civilians that would have been killed would have been less if Israel had cared more about civilian casualties. However, I also don't think that most of the people, that maybe not you, maybe you wouldn't be being crazy about it, but most of the people wouldn't have cared and they still would have called it a genocide, even if like by the end of it the total kill count was like, I don't know, let's say 40,000 or something. But unfortunately, the kill count of civilians was still going to be very high because of the fact that Hamas co-locates in civilian areas. And you have to do like proportionality assessments and stuff in order to determine if it was necessary. Because Hamas goes out of their way to make sure that innocent Gazans die when Israel attacks them. That's why there are no bomb shelters in Gaza, that civilians aren't allowed into the tunnels, and all of this other stuff. Like they have set up like their entire thing it's all being done on purpose. But yes, I do think that Israel should have gone out of their way to like not kill as many civilians, because obviously that would have been better. Like, not only is that morally the good thing to do, but it's also like just it on like from a pure like optics level, they should have done that, because that if they go in there and go ham and are insanely disproportionate and kill a fuckload of civilians, they're playing right into Hamas's hands, and that's what Hamas wants, and that's why Hamas does this shit, because they want more Palestinians to die so that they can wave the bodies of dead children around in front of Western media and get the sympathy from Western leftists, which is insane.
Yeah, okay.
You
I
know.
mean, well, yeah, okay. Well, you're talking to me, right? You're not talking to those
Yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah.
I don't.
I know,
I
but
don't fucking.
like, I
I
just
don't fucking. I like. It doesn't. I don't. I think genocide needs to be moved away from framing of killing, because yeah, like also you're kind of pushing into the idea that the only thing that you need for a genocide is high kill counts. That's not
But
what
when
genocide is.
no, that's not the only thing you need. You need intent, and that's the reason
Yeah, that's
why.
my point,
Yeah, but
right?
that's my yeah. But do you see? Here's the problem. If you can infer intent, my problem is when I look at what I see in Gaza, I see a war with disproportionately with like where the party that was it's a war where it's an urban war where the enemy is setting up shop in civilian areas, and the people who are fighting against them don't care as much as they should about civilian casualties. That is what I see. I do not see the deliberate attempt to go out of their way to kill as many civilians as possible. And the reason why I don't see that, I also don't see other things that are emblematic of genocide, such as like massacres, like intentionally massacring civilians. This is my problem with the whole argument about how like what's going on in Gaza must be a genocide, is because that and or also like this notion that like Israel like is intentionally targeting civilians. Because if you look at literally every other genocide, like you brought up Srebrenica. God damn it, I used to be able to say that. I'll just say you brought up like Bosnia, okay? In that massacre, the one that you were talking about, that genocide, they went in there and they lined up people and they shot them. In Bucha and in Izium, Russia went in and they lined up people and they shot them. It was so incredibly clear cut. This was a massacre. In Myanmar, that's what they do when they do village clearing operations. They send their soldiers in and they murder everybody in the village on purpose. There is no there's no distinction, you know. In the Holocaust, they did industrial murder. In Rwanda, they hacked people up with machetes and they went around and killed and targeted women and children and civilians. Now, whenever anybody talks about Israel's war crimes, and I'm not going to deny that there are absolutely instances of Israel's war crimes, but it is so much more murky, because Israel is not going in and lining people up and shooting them. That's not what's happening. It's a war, and they are dropping bombs, and they don't care as much about civilian casualties as they should, but we are not finding like evidence of them like going in and lining civilians up and shooting them in the back of the head. It's just like, that's just not what is happening there. And it's annoying that people want to say that like these things are the same when they're not, when all of those other genocides, it's very clear, like it's so much more clear cut, like this is what a civilian massacre looks like. Whereas in the case of Israel, like Shireen Abu Akleh, I'm sure that you know about her, that she was shot in a raid in Gaza on the or in the West Bank, in I think it was in Jenin, and she was shot by an IDF soldier, like a marksman, right? And that was in the middle of a raid. Like, it feels like every single time there's like a war crime or a bad thing that's done done in Israel, it's usually done by some trigger happy IDF asshole who doesn't get punished. And that's what Israel's problem is. Israel's problem is that they don't have any accountability for their soldiers. That they don't, like they have a culture of a lack of accountability. And this is because that they have conscription and stuff, right? And they don't want to hold their soldiers too accountable, because then like the people who sign up will get angry, and they'll think that like they're being like held back too much when trying to do their jobs or whatever. And I think that that's part of the problem. Like the IDF has a systemic lack of accountability. It's not like they have a top down order to just go in and murder all the Palestinians. It's that they don't care enough to deal with it, and they don't like deal with like all of their bad actors or whatever. And this has kind of led to a bunch of bad shit. Add on to that like vengeance after October 7th and stuff. And yeah, it's just like, but every time Israel does a war crime, it's generally done like the greater context of it is this was in the middle of a war and there was a whole bunch of fighting going on at the time. It's never they walked into this town, lined people up and shot them in the back of the head, like with every other genocide. Okay, I'm done now, but that's why it bothers me. But
that's
people,
not what
yeah.
every other like. We can look at Uyghur.
Yeah, but that's not that's like the Uyghur genocide is a completely different kind. The Uyghur genocide is also not happening in the context of a
Or
war,
the
though.
Holodomor.
The whole whether or not the Holodomor is a genocide is like a different. I don't even know if I don't know enough about the Holodomor. The problem with the Holodomor is that historians don't even agree that the Holodomor was a genocide, because
I mean, I think that.
there's been issues
But like, okay,
finding the
that's something that
intent.
even some people would argue that it's a genocide. Even some historians would argue that it's a
Yes,
genocide,
some
and they didn't
historians,
line up
yes.
people. Like the point is, you don't need to line up people,
Yeah, but okay,
right?
if we're talking about
So,
the
and then
I I
like okay, the main thing is intent, right?
yes.
Intent can be inferred from multiple different
Yes,
actions, right? I could.
intent can
Okay, okay.
be inferred, but it's not like what I'm saying is that in Israel, in Gaza, I don't see like enough to infer the intent. I just see a
Okay, then
war.
I'm
Sorry,
trying to make an
go
argument
ahead.
for where
Go ahead.
right. I think from what I see, and I think that the argument that they might go with in the cases, it seems like there is a systemic lack of accountability, plus a systematic lack of um, distinction, principle of distinction, what you said, and that is riled up by a population that is very radical, that is very young. You just mentioned that the majority of the soldiers and the majority of the Israelis that go into Gaza are young. That's true, and they're probably radicalized because of what happened in October 7. And I think there's a lack of oversight that is done intentionally by the higher ups. Like, okay, you can ask me where an example of this is you did you hear when that military officer said regarding the lawyer of the airstrikes that he would have administered?
Oh, I thought you were
Like,
going to talk about Yehuda Vash and the fact that he hasn't been fired.
I don't know who the fuck that guy is.
Um,
Dude, I don't know. I'm not even like that knowledgeable, honestly. I
I
really
mean,
don't know
I'm
him that
not
much.
like super knowledgeable either, but Loner Box is, and I watch him, and I've been starting to read a bunch of this stuff on my own since I started streaming now too. But I like um
No, but okay, there was a case of a military commander, and this has kind of confirmed a suspicion that I've had for quite a while now, where I don't know if Israel is actually doing proportionally assessments
they
that
oh
much
they
or even
they
at all.
I mean,
Like,
yeah, they
like no, no, no,
probably
no, no.
are,
Okay, okay,
but
okay.
go on.
This is sh- this is literally his words, where the lawyer is telling him, by the way, if you want to do something, I'll just find an excuse for you.
Can you
I'll
you're
just find
gonna
a
okay,
legal.
I don't like now I don't even know, like, are you talking about like a general um
Yeah,
um can
but
you
okay,
like can you provide me with a source for this? Like I'm not like
I
saying
don't. I'm not gonna.
give me a
I'm not gonna
so
provide you with a source right now. Okay, we're having conversation, but
okay.
this is,
The
I
reason
think,
why I'm
one of the
asking
things.
is okay, they have a unit of lawyers who sign off on strikes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I know. I understand that. I understand that that procedure exists on paper. I don't know how much that procedure actually limits the number of airstrikes, right? And I am skeptical because why the fuck do we see, right, in so many instances, in so many instances, places that are getting airstriked, and then later on, independent journalists that were, there at the time, they didn't find any um military activity, you
Um
know.
okay,
Like,
so
why is it like
here
I don't fucking buy that, like, like, bro, 80% of Gaza, 80% of Gazans infrastructure is fucking destroyed. I think, at least on the
okay,
northern part, or one part. I
hold
don't
on a
buy that
sec.
they're all embedded within Hamas. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Just a sec. Just a second.
I
Hold
feel like
on.
that's a little silly.
You did it. You brought up the thing that I figured that you would, and this is the reason why I don't know. Okay? I'm going to show this to you. Because I think this is very, very important. First of all, I just want to tell you, and or rather, like, this is the evidence that I'm going to show you that I have. So the problem is that there are no independent journalists in Gaza because Hamas does not allow there to be independent journalists. If you're a journalist and you're in Gaza, you are very much muzzled in terms of what you are or are not allowed to say. And if you say things that Hamas doesn't want you to say, then you will be in trouble. This is something that journalists from Associated Press have talked about before, about like the way in which things get reported. So, and Gazan civilians are under this same sort of thing. They are told you can't, if you talk to people, if you give witness accounts to journalists, you can't tell them if you saw military. Only describe the dead as innocent civilians. Do not talk about whether or not you saw us here. Do not talk about where the rockets were being fired from. Like, this is like, you know how like normally in a war civilians are given instructions with regards to like OPSEC and shit. This is the kind of OPSEC that Hamas forces Gazan civilians to practice. And obviously you don't want to cross Hamas. Because if you do, then they're going to come and do bad things to you because that they're not a democracy, right? Like, they're not just going to charge you and throw you in jail. They're going to like execute you and maybe kill all your family too. Like that. This is a thing that's why I'm saying I don't know, because all of these human rights reports rely on basically witness testimonies that there was no Hamas here, or investigations that are done by people saying that there was no Hamas, when they have to say that because the Hamas will like not take kindly if they don't, and there is this fear that something bad will happen to them if they say otherwise. And until we can get the actual, like, basically right now we don't actually have like a concrete idea of what the total number of Hamas people are that Israel has killed. And because we don't know that, and because when the Gaza Health Ministry releases death numbers, they don't say which ones are militants. They just say this number of people killed, and the inference is that they are all civilians, because Hamas wants everyone to, they don't want to talk about how many people have died, and they have done this in every single war. They don't release their martyr dead count until like a year or two later, after all the UN reports have been written, and they get that propaganda win, you know. If you want, I can show you this video that shows evidence of this, because Hamas posted instructions for their civilians on the Hamas
No,
Interior Ministry
I don't.
website. But
I don't
yeah.
doubt that Hamas. No, I don't doubt that Hamas does this, but there were times where a civilian would, or, an independent journalist would have said that there was
Yeah, but
military
no, they wouldn't have said
objective.
that. They're not allowed to
No, there
say
were
that,
times
is what
though.
I'm saying.
But there were times is the point,
But how do you know that?
right?
How do you know that they would have said otherwise? They're not allowed to say that.
No, no,
Like,
no, no, no. There were times that they have had done that.
what, where they have said that? Are
Yes,
were these journalists, like, were they leaving Gaza
like
right after,
during
or were
some.
they in a safe zone where there were IDF and no
I have
Hamas
no
people?
fucking idea, but like they somehow found evidence that there were military items in some of the in some of the residencies that
Usually,
Israeli struck them.
usually when this happens, it's journalists that have been embedded with the IDF. Like, the IDF will bring like the IDF brought journalists into booby trapped houses and whatnot, for example, and showed them tunnel entrances and stuff. But
No, no, no. This was way after what I'm talking about specifically. I think this was one of the resident. Well, this was one of the fucking residence complex that they bombed. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. This research based on a long time ago. So I don't remember the names. I don't remember the specifics, but
Okay,
yeah.
but like, does what I just said like move you at all to like understand that this is considerably more murky than you seem to think it is?
No, but like I already considered that though. I would have
But
considered that journalists are incentivized to lie for Hamas. I would have I would have probably considered. I just think that the scale on it like there's so many things that are pointing to to that one direction, right?
I feel
That
like
like I
you're
would have to be dishonest. No, wait, no, don't make me lose respect for you,
no,
okay?
no, no. I'm not.
By saying
I'm
what
not
I
going to
want to
say
say.
anything bad about you specifically. It just feels like you're like you have this sort of vibe that you're not, or like that you don't like. Urban warfare is incredibly brutal. You are aware of that, yes? Like this is an urban
Sure.
war, and they're like
I would, like Syria has killed more. I wouldn't consider that a genocide, mostly.
well, I mean,
Like I don't think
like
there's like that. Like
that.
what happened in Syria was like it was like fucking a boss killing everyone, right? Like
I'm not.
that's not really a genocide.
It's not I'm not saying that you think that it's a genocide because high death number. That's clearly not what you think. You think it's a genocide because that you feel like the way in which Israel is conducting the war is enough to infer their intent. When I don't see that. I think that like, and like I feel like you're not like, I guess, like taking into account enough that like the way that Hamas fights and the fact that this has been done by design. And I feel like the explanation that I gave about how Israel doesn't care enough about civilian casualties makes a lot more sense than Israel is purposely going out of their way to target civilians, because like the number of people who were dead would be way higher than
No,
that given
I don't.
Israel's firepower.
It's not. It's not that like they're like it's not that they're consciously doing it, but I think they are consciously enabling it, knowing that it will result in maximum Palestinian deaths. You know, it's not like I don't think anyone. Well, maybe some fucking lunatic would actually do it, but I don't think anyone is going to the war with like intent to kill as much people. But I think it is a culture of enabling something like that to happen
I think that there has been
and
I
promoting
think
that.
I think that like I think that if you wanted to like bring up people like Ben Gvir and Smotrich on charges of incitement to genocide, you probably could, because that likely the way that they and other people in the Israeli government have talked about Palestinians have absolutely led to like soldiers thinking that they are getting the green light to like basically do war crimes, and the amount of like sort of like vengeful thinking that one will find that people had after October 7th is like, I definitely think that's a thing, but that's a lot different than like a an order top down, or like for some sort of intent to like go in there and wipe out all the Palestinians to do genocide. Like it just doesn't, like, yeah, like I think that you can find individual actors. And by the way, if this did turn out to be a genocide, I feel like what it would actually probably be is it would probably be like there would be like individual units that would probably get charged with doing genocide, like Yehuda Vosh and all of his guys, because that guy is crazy and he clearly just wants to kill a whole bunch of Palestinians. Like and you would have to like, I'd like to see that looked into further. That I think that like maybe that might be a possibility if more investigations are done into him after the fact, which I think would be a good idea. You know, like there's absolutely been war crimes, but I'm just saying, like, why can't we just say there have been war crimes and that people should be prosecuted for them, instead of like immediately jumping to the G word, which is what I feel like everybody wants to do. Like they just want to say, like, slap the word genocide on everything. War crimes are also crimes against humanity is just as bad, you know, like that's not good either.
I mean, the reason why people feel like they need to like, okay, dude, people would care about it as much if there were because it's Israel Palestine, they would care about it as much just on the basis of that. But they feel like there is a sense of intent here. That is the idea. Like even on a primitive sense, right? Like for dude, if Putin or a lot of the Russian officials have said a lot of the shit that the Israeli ministers, right, have said regarding the Palestinians, you would consider that that's I feel like
They
in general that's
have.
good evidence. Yeah, no, I do think that as well. But like, wait, have like from
Um,
what I understand, Putin has said something about absorbing Ukraine, right?
Yeah, but like yes, there are people that if you watch if you watch Russian propaganda, like the in Russia there is no like anything that they have on TV is approved by the government. Like there's not a like the Russian like media is it's it's not like they don't have independent media there. And so anybody that like yeah, they do that. But I guess like here's the issue in Ukraine, there is a clear dividing line between the front line and where the civilians are, who and they are, you know, obviously not at the front line. Like it's not and usually before when there's urban warfare in Ukraine as well too. Typically speaking, the civilians get evacuated at least on the Ukrainian side first, and there might be like a small handful left who refuse to leave, but for the most part they are evacuated. And so like I think that that's part of what makes Ukraine a little bit more obvious and cut and dry in terms of is Putin targeting civilians? Well, yes, he is because that they fire missiles and Shahed drones into Ukrainian into like Ukrainian high rises and Ukrainian cities where there are no soldiers, and they're doing this on purpose. Like they're waging like a sort of World War II style like bombing of cities in order to like break the spirit of the people, which is like one of the reasons why we did it during World War II. Like they're committing that kind of campaign. But in Gaza, it's not the same thing because Gaza is an urban war where, again, they're fighting against an enemy that co-locates in civilian areas. And like, I feel like this makes a huge difference in terms of like, yeah, that like it's not, they're not the same kind of war. Ukraine's a much more traditional war.
Okay. Okay, wait. I would like to ask you, like, if okay, assume what everything I'm telling you is true, would would it suffice for you to be a genocide? Like, assume everything that I'm telling you is true. Like, I'm not saying that there's a clear cut and like I'm not saying that there are people that are having or that there's a top down order necessarily, but I think there's a top down enabling culture, and that is done with
Um,
intent. You know,
no,
like I don't think. Okay.
the problem no, I don't think so because dolus specialis is the special intent to destroy in whole or in part. Like there's a pretty high bar for this. It's a
Yeah,
pretty
but
like
that's
there
like okay.
like
That
you
I
can't
would argue that,
just
that's part of dolus specialis
I don't
because
I think you're broadening it out too much because now like there are so many wars that you may as well just call genocides. Like the firebombing of Dresden must have been like that would be a genocide. The atomic bombs dropping in Japan would be a genocide. Like you could just any war where like
no wait,
the people who are dropping the bombs are like wishy-washy or don't care that much about civilian casualties or like kind of allow lots of civilian
that's
casualties
not
would
what
then be a
that's not what I
genocide.
said, bro.
Well, you're trying to say that there's a culture of like no accountability in the IDF, and you're trying to say that like this is like this is
And I
like
think
intent where they basically just let people get away with like killing lots of people, or they don't care, or they aren't doing proportionality assessments. Like it sounds like you're
yeah.
like yeah, you're like trying to infer that the ID that like that's what they're doing, but they're not necessarily going out of their way to murder or to like but you don't think there's necessarily a top down order to just go in there and drop a fuckload of bombs to wipe out every single Gazan. Instead, you're trying to say that like that they're just blurring the or that they don't care about like civilian deaths and that there's an intent behind them like targeting civilian areas or what. Like do you think that they're deliberately targeting civilians?
Um, uh, it's like they would not give a fuck if someone were to. But that's just me to that's just me answering your question. I don't know if they
Um
are deliberately targeting civilians, but like I think them not doing proportionally assessments in good faith, which I think is they're 100% not doing,
I
is an act of genocide.
I mean okay, yeah, like I don't agree with that. I
Like
feel
it's like
like the bar is way too low at that point. Like there's so many things like you're turning like also I just want to say I also have to say too that like it has to be deliberate for it to be a genocide. Like they have to be targeting civilians and wanting to kill people. On a moral level, like intent like the intention matters, right? Like if I kill if like a bunch of people die as a result of an action that I take during a war and I don't give a fuck, that's not the same thing as me targeting those people and deliberately killing them.
No, but wait, like you don't think that there's a level of deliberation there?
What do you mean like deliberation?
Like that's what I meant by intent.
I think there's negligence, but negligence isn't the same thing as intentionally killing someone. So oh boy, I finally get to use my analogy. Um
Okay. If I, how do I, like I understand the negligence, but I think the like what I'm more pointing to is someone being intentful about other people being negligent, or
so
someone being intentful with the system of negligence.
So you're saying
Like
that you're like alleging some sort of, I mean, this almost sounds almost conspiratorial in a way. You're basically saying that people within the IDF, like higher ups, have intentionally constructed this system where people are going to be negligent with
no, it's
civilian
not that. I think it's
casualties
more of a.
so that they'll kill
I
more
think it's more of like a
civilians.
common understand. I think it's more of a common understanding where everyone knows their role, everyone knows their place. This might sound fucking conspiratorial, but
It is very
uh,
much, but okay.
no, it could be. But I don't really buy. I just don't buy the excuses of the IDF at this point. Like I don't buy
I
that
mean,
the fucking.
they're not excuses that the IDF makes, to be clear. Like, and I'm not making excuses for the IDF either. That like these are not excuses made by the IDF. According to the IDF, if you ask the IDF spokespeople, they will say we absolutely prosecute and punish people who have committed war crimes. And if you accuse this guy of war crimes, they'll say we looked into it and there was no war crimes. And they might like lie about things. No, they go out of their way to cover their asses. I'm not making excuses for them. I think it's shitty that there's a lack of accountability, and I think this is something they need to fix. But I don't think that there's some sort of weird top-down conspiracy that like is like that they've constructed on purpose to like do this weird system where they can get away with like committing genocide and the intent is there, but it's all wishy-washy and murky. Like I just that's very weird to me, and I don't really see like any evidence for that. I think like there might be people who come out like whistleblowers who come out and say that because that they feel that that's the case, but I don't like. I think that if that were the case, then
I mean,
we'd see a
there's been whistleblowers that said they received commands like not just not having good principles of distinction, right?
yes, yeah, there has been, and that's what I mean. Like there are issues with like
I,
stuff
I
like
think this
that.
is doing it. I think this is happening at a much larger scale, and the fact that it isn't that there is a lack of accountability there. Like it seems like the system knows what it's doing and what is happening, and it is intentionally letting that happen. Right.
I don't like.
That's where I think the Dolo Specialis shit is. Right. It is intentionally letting a culture of lack of accountability leads to the maximum punishment of the Gazans.
But it's not the maximum
It,
punishment of the Gazans though, because there's
like, I guess,
like, but it's not like the number like the if this were the case, there would be like way more dead. Like I
okay, dude,
don't.
there would have been more. Like, there would have been way more dead in Uyghur or like any other genocide. Like, Russia is a nuclear state, China is a nuclear state. Like, there are still political realities that these countries will have to deal with,
So yeah, so
right?
now you're
Like,
like I feel like at this point like there's nothing that I can say to argue against your weird conspiracy that
Hey,
internally.
Kalinda.
Hello, Insomniac. Insomniac is Israeli and he served in the
Hi. I won't
IDF kind
interject
of.
for long. I won't interject for long. I'll just bring up one point and then I'll go. Okay. I just
Okay.
wanted to ask, how many people in this like big conspiracy thing do you think needs to be involved in order for this conspiracy to actually work? Like, do you need like 10 people? Do you need 20? Do you need like 200 people? Do like 200,000 Israelis need to be like complicit in this wink, wink, nudge, nudge? That's what I want to bring up. Like you come up with like this idea of like, I have a suspicion that people there think about the moving parts and like how many moving parts need to be there and like operating against each other. How many of those would be dissenting voices? Because like dissenting voices are there. There is like an Israeli left that is talking quite loudly actually about a lot of horrible shit that the IDF is doing. And if you look at what they're doing and what they're complaining about, you can see systemic problems that exist in the IDF, but they don't necessarily require this like gigantic conspiracy theory, right? And it doesn't necessarily need to be the suspicion. You can just look at the stuff that are actually on the ground instead of trying to infer something much worse than that, which that kind of in a kind of roundabout way sounds a little bit Jew sus. But I'm sure you're not. I'm sure you're not there. I'm sure this is not where you're going. Anyway, I'm
Insomniac.
gonna go. I'm gonna tap out now. Just wanted to bring that. You can talk about it with Kalinda. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm sure
Insomniac,
you're a
have
great
you
guy.
been drinking, Insomniac?
No, no, no. I'm just really happy for the holiday today for Simchat Torah. So have happy holidays, everyone.
Happy Simchat Torah. I'm sure I said that wrong. I'm sorry about that, Fire. Although he does bring up a good point. Like there would have to be like a fuckload of moving parts. And also I will bring up as well too that a lot of the higher ups in the IDF are actually quite a lot more like, because they usually will get like trained in the West and stuff, and so they're actually like a lot more like liberal or whatever, like the chief of staff in the IDF was the one who was raising the alarm, saying, hey, like if we don't do something, the Gazans are going to be starving to death, guys. Like we need to start, like if we don't let the food in, yeah. No, it's not called cataract, Tash Gordon. Ask Toby, she'll tell you how to pronounce it. Anyway, go ahead, Fire, sorry.
I mean, I'm trying to come up with an answer on how many moving parts that there would need to be found. I don't know what you mean by moving parts.
I mean, the
I don't know
number
if
of
this is
people
something.
that would need to
I don't
be
know if this is something.
involved.
Well, I guess okay. So I don't know if this is something that has necessarily. This is not something that people will admit to, right?
Yeah, but why wouldn't they admit
Mhm.
to it? Like, I feel like that's the other issue, right? Like, if this was actually
Like,
going on, there would be a fuckload more leaks. Like, people would be
okay,
talking
I'm
about it
not
in
talking
this
about
way.
I'm not talking about a conspiracy where like it's planned top down, but like the fact that people are okay. If if you press a button, right, and that it has a chance of like it has a 1 in a 10 chance of killing somebody, of killing a person, and you fucking smash that button, right? Actually, that's not a good argument. What's a good analogy? Well, it's like, okay, if you shoot, right, blindly to a class full of like, just, I don't want to say children, but like a class full of
It's okay. You can be as
college students.
extreme with your analogies as you want. Just don't make
No,
Nazi
class
comparisons.
full of college students, right? Okay, class full
Okay.
of college students, right? But you are blind, right? You are kind of intentionally doing something, right?
Um, are you trying to hit a specific person? Because remember, this is something that, like,
I
I,
don't know. Who knows? That's the action. Like there is still plausible deniability in
um,
something like that.
I would, if you're a blind person and you open fire on a bunch of people, and like, and I'm assuming in this analogy, do you know that you're opening fire on like a group of college students, or are
Yeah,
you just shooting your
no,
gun?
you know that you're opening fire, and you know that what you're doing has a high chance of um it has a high chance of killing someone.
I would say that that would be reckless negligence, not like
Okay.
intentionally killing someone. And I think that that's how a crime like that would be. Like, I think that something like that would be I'm pretty sure that would be prosecuted as like reckless endangerment or something. Although it might be, or like that would be. I feel like that'd be like second-degree murder rather than like murder in the first degree.
Well, no, first degree murder. Okay, dude. Even like if you okay, like first degree murder is like premeditated murder. You need a plan to kill someone.
Yes,
Like you could
second-degree
like just
murder.
fucking throw. No, dude, you can throw like a fucking bomb in a classroom.
Yes, if your intention
intentionally.
is to kill a bunch of people and you throw a bomb into a classroom in order to achieve that, that's first-degree murder, yes.
Like, wait, is that first degree murder? I thought you would need to have a plan.
No,
Like,
it's if it's premeditated, if you want to kill people.
no, second degree murder is like also intent. Third degree murder is reckless and danger, like reckless, like manslaughter.
um
Is it not?
no, I thought second degree murder was like, like a crime of passion, basically. Like it's happening
Yeah,
in the
Derek, like
moment.
what happened with Derek Chauvin, right? But that is still
Well,
that
Derek
doesn't mean that there's
Chauvin, I
no.
think he got found guilty of first degree murder, but yeah, like
No, no, no. I think it was second degree murder. It was second degree murder. I remember.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
they charged him with
and with first
murder.
degree murder is like premeditated murder. You had a plan beforehand. Like you had
Yes.
like you had a plan beforehand, and you carried it out. Is essentially what
Oh
first
yeah,
degree
no,
murder is.
second degree murder is manslaughter, which I think would fall under like reckless. I think reckless endangerment would fall under that.
Wait, no. Okay, what?
Hold on.
Who said that?
What'd you say? Who said what? Are you reading chat? Don't read chat.
No, did someone in chat say that?
Don't say what. No, no, I was talking about you because I thought you were talking about manslaughter. Hold on. Oh yeah,
Am I fucking stupid?
manslaughter is the unlawful killing of a person without malice or the intent to kill.
Yeah.
Like yeah, there's no intent within manslaughter. I think manslaughter is third degree murder.
Yeah, that is a third degree murder, right?
Yes, third degree murder
So
is the
manslaughter is like
unintentional. Yeah, that's manslaughter. It's without premeditation.
manslaughter is you accidentally like fucking stray bullets, for example, could be manslaughter, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
That's third degree. Yes. Okay, secondary murder is like crimes of passion or like a sort of like a knee-jerk reaction, like yeah, like you get in a fight and then you stab
But you still
somebody.
have that intent. You still have that intent to kill someone.
With secondary murder,
Yeah,
yes
but
you do. Yes.
yeah, but what premeditated murder is like exactly like there's a plan, like you have blueprints in your fucking head maybe that you're gonna
Um
kill this person. You're carrying it out.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
first degree murder is.
Yes. Yeah. If before you do it, yeah. Or like if you go out to the bar and you get in an argument with a guy and then like the guy walks away from you and you think to yourself, man, I'm going to kill that motherfucker before he leaves here tonight, and then you go and you do it,
Yeah,
then that's
sure. That's
first
first
degree.
degree murder.
Yeah.
Like that's why I said blueprint in your mind. Like you have like a plan that you're gonna carry
Yes.
out, right?
Yes.
I guess yeah. Also, the bomb example would be first degree murder as well. Um,
Yeah, I
that's
would
not really a crime
argue.
of passion.
Yeah, I would argue that genocide is generally speaking first degree murder, because like that's
Okay.
the dolus specialis, like you're trying to destroy an entire group, except you've expanded it out to an entire group of people. Like I don't think that like you second degree murder in a moment of like rage, whoops I accidentally, or whoops I did a genocide. Usually it's something that
It's
like
like it's not whoops, I did a crime. It's like I want to kill this
yeah,
person.
or like
Like I think
or not
I
like
want to
whoops
kill this
I yeah,
person.
it's like, but
It's
I
like
don't think that genocides typically
I
are
have the
like a
chance
knee
to kill
jerk
this
thing,
person. Yeah, yeah, okay, and like a niche, sure. Like I'm not saying that it's a first degree murder and like or first degree of like I never claimed that there are blueprints to this genocide. I never claimed that there are clear orders to carry out this genocide. But I feel like what is happening right now in the IDF and like in the IDF primarily and the structures that is embedded within the IDF is that there is a mutual understanding that like they have a fucking chance to kind of like punish their wrongdoers, based on October 7th, and they're taking every single step to go into that direction, you know,
Oh,
is my interpretation. Without doing fucking without getting too much
I mean, yeah,
in
but
the
I feel
too
like
much in trouble.
I feel like what do you mean like too much in trouble? I don't know what you mean. Like I feel like that's still like kind of a because like now we're going back to so you basically feel like they are intentionally like bombing civilian areas even if they know there's no Hamas there. Because
Yeah,
now
I think
okay.
okay. How do I say this? I think they're. I think if they if like there's even like a little bit of doubt, like that there is Hamas there, just like a tiny shred of evidence, right? They would use that, and then they would not carry out the proper proportionality assessment. They would not carry out the proper verification within
Okay,
this,
well, now
and then they would just
you're
do it.
now you're alleging something different then. Now you're basically saying that unless your allegation is that they basically are manufacturing evidence for Hamas to be there or taking whatever scrap they can because what they actually want to do is kill people, then like if that unless that is what you are saying, then you're basically saying something different. Now you're talking about, well, there was shitty intel, but they thought they had intel and they didn't do their due diligence. And so now we're back to like that would be negligence, not
Well,
like
it's not
intent.
just shitty intel. It's like they know it's shitty intel.
Yeah, I know,
They
but that's
understand that it's shitty
still
intel,
that's
but they're still
still
carrying it out
yeah, that's still like
regardless.
that's still like negligence though. Like I would argue that
Okay.
that's still negligent rather than. But if you think that also I very much doubt that like it's like they kind of like it, I'm sure that there are instances where like there are some people who think like, wow, this is shitty intel and we shouldn't go ahead with this. But then there's somebody else who like really wants to or who doesn't care or whatever. Like there's probably stuff like that. But I think that that's like negligence again and not like I think you could say it's reckless negligence, and I certainly do think that stuff like that would absolutely be a war crime.
If this is happening at like a mass level, at a mass scale, right, where everyone is doing it, every single commander is doing it, right?
I don't
Every single.
think you have evidence of that, but go on.
Okay, sure. I'm just testing what you're, you know, I'm just gauging you right now. But like, let's say this is happening at a mass scale. This is happening, uh, not just like not with just some instances. This is happening throughout the system. Would you consider that a genocide?
Um, First, you have to clarify which one you're talking about. Do you mean the one
Like,
where
the-
the one where they know the intel is shitty, but they decide to like fire on that apartment building anyway, and and like there might be Hamas there, they might not, but like they think like yeah, there probably is, but we can't say 100% for certain, so we're just gonna do it anyway. Is that what
okay,
you
I
mean?
don't know. I don't. Okay, why are you like fucking whitewashing what they could think? Like, I think it's like how I would imagine it is like, oh, there's a piece of evidence there, right? Or there's a piece of intel here. I'm not sure about how verifiable this is. I'm not really gonna care on my due diligence because I don't really care, right? There might not be Hamas there. I don't give a fuck. Like they deserve it,
Um,
right? And then
I
let's carry it out. Is what I think might be going on at a larger scale, right? Um, at okay. Let's assume that all the commanders are doing this, right? Let's just assume that. I just want to test what you think might be or might not be a genocide, right? Do you think that is a genocide then?
um Probably, I think that's reckless endangerment generally for the most part,
Okay.
unless it's like I mean, I guess like maybe saying, well, no, saying I'm gonna do this thing because that there might be Hamas there, but if there's civilians there, I don't care. Whatever, they don't matter to me. Like no, like again, like because you're talking about in terms like okay. Let me try to sort of drill it down like this. All right. Do you recognize so? There are two scenarios, okay? In one scenario, you have a child that it's his and you've got a baby and his guardian has left him in the bathtub, okay? To get a bath and he turns on the water and then he walks away and he leaves and the tub overflows and the baby drowns cuz he can't swim, all right? And then in the second scenario, the guardian walks into the room, pulls out a gun and shoots the baby in the face. Which one of those, like I would consider the first scenario to be reckless neglect. of that child because the child was abandoned in this room. Okay. But it was not the case. Like the guardian didn't care that the kid died. And I would consider the second scenario to be like actual like intent to murder because they walked in and shot the baby in the face. Do you understand the difference between these two things? That one of these things is actually intent and the other one is not?
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? I
Are
completely
you
blanked out for a minute.
are you tired? Do you want to go to bed? I don't know how you're still awake.
4 a.m. No, I don't mind. I don't mind talking with you. So the first argument was,
It's the you leave. It's the you leave the baby behind and the baby drowns in the bathtub that's filling up with water versus you push the baby into the water to drown it, or you just come in and shoot the baby in the face. Those are the two
okay,
scenarios. This is like the
okay,
invent.
okay.
Yeah.
The first one is obviously, dude. The first one is obviously phrased like they're just accidentally doing it.
No, it's
But like,
not.
okay,
I'd say it's
let's say,
recklessly negligent.
does the person know what they're doing is probably gonna kill the baby?
Yeah, they do, but they don't give a fuck.
Okay, then I think that's intent.
I don't agree.
You are
I don't
okay.
think.
Interesting.
I don't. I think
So-
there's a difference between not giving a fuck and intentionally wanting someone to die. It's like if I
how do you
if-
how if can a baby swim? You know that baby if that baby can swim?
no, the baby can't swim. Actually, wait, maybe you don't.
Okay.
Actually, maybe you don't. Actually, hold on.
Like,
Let me. What if it's this is like I think this is a classic philosophical thing. It's the whole like are you as culpable if you walk by a swimming pool and you see a man drowning and you don't do anything about it as you would be if you walk up to that swimming pool and hold the man's head down until he drowns? That's like the sort of philosophical question.
Okay, then that's okay. No, but like your first analogy was good, the bathtub analogy. But like the first part of it isn't necessarily negligence as much as it's just like you are kind of like a.
Actually, wait, no. If you know that the baby, like if you're doing it and you want the baby to die, then yes, it's intent. But if
or like okay,
if
not
you
even want the baby to die, you know that the baby's gonna die, like you are knowingly killing the baby.
yes, no, I mean like
Yeah,
if
that is
okay, hold on.
intent.
If there's not, then yes, like if you do that because like you know that the baby is going to die and you are knowingly killing the baby, then yes, that would be. But the issue that I have is that like that doesn't like really map onto the real world, where in our analogy, like Hamas is like there could be like enemy combatants in this area, right? And like
But I think in the commander's case, okay, this is my hypothetical, so I can control all the scenario. Again, I'm just gauging you, right? Is like their main intent, right, is in their head, there is no innocence in Gaza, right? So they know that what they can do can kill people, and is most likely to and is more likely to kill people than not, more likely to kill maybe more civilians than not, right? And they're still doing it.
yeah, but is there
Would that be genocide?
it depends on whether or not they think that there is Hamas there or not. It depends on whether or not they know, or that they have like how much of like the extent to it, like did they do it depends on like the proportionality. Like are we talking about, because like I think that this matters, right? Like now would it be genocide if like if we found like a case where there was a whole bunch of instances of and like the commanders intentionally were targeting civilians or okaying strikes to target civilians, and they knew that there was no Hamas there for 100% certainty, or like they knew that the intel was super shitty but they didn't give a fuck and they just decided to target them anyway because fuck it, there's no innocence in Gaza, then yeah, you could charge those civilians with genocide. But I don't think that that's what's happening on a large scale like you do.
Sure. The last part is what I'm trying to talk. It's what I'm trying to mention. What I'm trying to communicate. It's like the intel is so shitty. They don't bother to really verify it. They just like fucking fuck it, you know. Like I think the actual the process of verification within the IDF is so intentionally incompetent, or is so incompetent that I don't I feel like there needs to be there has to be an element of intent here.
The
You know,
problem that I have is that you don't have any
like
evidence for
I think
this.
people. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be easy. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna prove it's a genocide regarding the ICJ.
I mean, I don't think that they're
Um,
going to be honest with you, because right now I don't really see a lot of evidence. I'm going to say I don't know, but with the evidence that we have available, I don't think that there's really much evidence of it, because unfortunately, and I think that this is why a lot of people just ignore that Hamas exists, because it makes it easier to spin this narrative. I'm not saying that you're necessarily doing that, although it feels like maybe to a certain degree you are, because that you seem to think that the IDF is like that they're just doing stuff to like attack civilians, and like they don't care about whether or not there's any Hamas there. And I don't really think that that's the case. Like I think that there is like so much I think that the issue is that they don't care enough about civilian casualties, but I think that they believe that the intel that there is Hamas at these targets is good enough, but their proportionality assessments are probably fucked. And that's why. So, like, for example, like, I think that they would be willing to kill, like, I don't know, or they would, if they can kill, like, I don't know, let's say 5 Hamas guys, and and like, I don't know, like 100 civilians are in an area, I think they'd say fuck it and do it, and that would be an acceptable proportionality assessment. Now, I don't know what NATO proportionality assessments look like, or if that's considered as an acceptable proportionality assessment. In that head, that sounds ridiculous. Like, it sounds ridiculous to be okay with killing like 500 civilians to get one guy, unless that guy's like super important. But I think that that's what's happening. I think it's just that they just have fucked proportionality assessments, that they don't care enough about civilian casualties. And like, we don't have any evidence to the contrary, because of the extent to which Hamas obscures information in terms of whether or not there were any soldiers at places that are struck.
okay.
And yeah, I think that that's, yeah, like that, like there's not, everything else just feels like sort of vibes or whatever, or like just because you've probably seen like so much bad shit that like it looks like the IDF has done, because the left does such a good job of exaggerating all the bad shit that the IDF does, that
No,
there's
well,
like a,
it's not Pallywood or it's not shit like that that is influencing my position. It's like literal whistleblowers just happening at
yeah,
an
I
like
know, but that's the other
that
issue
are coming out at
too. I
they're
mean,
coming out at an insane rate. You know,
well, okay, so here's the problem with that. Let me like sort of mention that, because
like
I don't,
if there are enough whistleblowers that say the same shit over and over again, I think that's good evidence for
I think
painting
most of the
the systemic.
whistleblowing that I've seen has basically been people saying that there's not enough accountability, not that there is like they do this on purpose.
Well, okay,
But
they're not gonna say like they do. Okay, um, did you read the fucking thing? Okay, I should have pointed out to the this fuck. I should have given you the source, but there is that thing where the law where the guy is basically being told by his lawyer that, by the way, I'm not gonna give you much input or any input. Whatever you want to do, I'm gonna stand by your side, right, dear commander. Okay, I didn't say dear commander. I added that, but that
I
is
mean, yeah,
that
I
I
feel
felt
like
like.
where does that like come from or whatever? And like again, like that
No,
also,
I will give you the source, dude. I've given, come on, like with our DMs, I've given you sources after, right? Like, so you can count on me on doing that later on, but like, just trust me on this right now. I think that is happening at a much higher rate, at a much higher scale than just that one in just that one instance. So
I mean, but yeah, but
that's one of the reasons why
how
I
do
think
you
it's
know
genocide.
that
It's over
though?
with people.
How do you know
I
that?
It's just dude, it's just based on the, like, okay, do you think um 80% of or just 80% of of the Gazan infrastructure is embedded within
I mean,
Hamas shit.
Hamas has built tunnels all over the Gaza Strip. They miles and miles of tunnels. Like those tunnels are everywhere. Like, do you think like it's like they have turned this whole place like they went out of their way. This was what they were
Like, but do you
doing.
think it's really military necessary to do all the shit that they've done, though, or even the majority of it, or even 50% of it?
I don't know if it's
Like, you
necessary
think,
to do
like,
like everything that they've done, but I think that like I think that it is more complicated than you are making it out to be. Is the thing.
okay,
Like
like,
yeah, like, and that's my issue. That's why I said like I'm not going to take a 100% certain stance on this because I don't have enough information to do so. And this is my problem with people who adopt the genocide truism and then they use it to beat you over the head. And I'm not saying you're doing that, but other people definitely do that. And I think people want to call this a genocide because that there's a level of morality that's attached to it that they feel isn't just attached to regular crimes against humanity, which is my issue. Because then from there you can there's a whole bunch of other shit, like just kind of like I guess consider the whole like Israel's doing a genocide. So I mean, like, what does that mean? It means that we should stop giving weapons to Israel. We should stop being Israel's friend. We should arms embargo Israel. What do we do to countries that commit genocide? You know, like they're our enemy. We try them, and like we sometimes we even invade them, and like those countries get overthrown, and their governments get kicked out of power, and then like they get de-radicalized and denazified and all this other kind of shit, right?
I
Like
don't,
that's
maybe,
yeah, but like
maybe that's what a lot of people, but that's not what realistically happens in a lot
I
of
mean,
instances of genocide.
it depends on what you're talking about, but if there's any sort of justice, that's usually what'll happen, right? Because that's what happened in Bosnia, that's what happened in Nazi Germany, that's what happened in Rwanda.
It's not what happened in, like, currently what's happening in Sudan. Like, America really just doesn't give a fuck about,
Well,
like,
no, America doesn't
war.
give a fuck, but the other ones that I gave example, like with Rwanda, like the America wasn't involved in that at all, but like I believe the perpetrators were still tried at the Hague for that. Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah,
were.
yeah, no, they are.
Um
They were.
and like so yeah, like
No, but
that's
the
like
point is,
with
like,
Rwanda, the
you,
hope is that after it's over, the RSF guys are going to get tried, right? Like that they will once they've got if they are beaten, then like they'll hopefully get arrested and turned over to the Hague. You know,
I, my
like
point is, I don't think that a lot of people are thinking that further into the pipeline as you might think it is. I think people are just describing as what they. I think just people are just instinctively saying it's a genocide because it feels like it's a genocide. I
I
don't know
think
what
no, I mean
I
like
think.
yeah, maybe for a bunch of people, but honestly, I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that they want Israel to, because they think Israel's evil, and this furthers their notion of that, and because they also don't want Israel to exist. Like if we're talking about the leftists I'm thinking of, I'm not saying that like that's obviously not you, although I don't know if you think Israel has a right to exist or not. I was told that apparently you scoffed when Mibruzi asked you that question in the
No,
voice
I
chat.
laughed.
Yeah,
No,
or
I
that you
laughed at her. That
left.
was like a dumb question. That was a dumb question that she asked, but whatever.
I mean, why do you think?
Like,
Okay, like, or do you think that's a dumb question?
I'm not, dude,
Because
I'm not gonna fucking ask. I'm not gonna take something like that seriously, bro. Like, I even laughed when David started doing the whole gauging shit. I think that's fucking cringe. Like, we don't need to like go. We don't need to like. You don't need to like treat me with kitty gloves, and I'm not gonna do the same to you. So like, why even bother? You
okay,
know?
no, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. I'm not. I don't want to accuse you of like having views that you don't have. I'm just saying though that like there is at least a large like before you got here. I watched videos from I watched a video from Chris Kunzler, and then I was watching Hassan. And the first thing I did when I was looking at ceasefire reactions was I read a tweet or part of a tweet from the Zay Squirrel person. I don't know if you know who they are. They're a big Twitter account, a big leftist Twitter account, and they're basically a Hamas propagandist. And like they want Israeli civilians to die, and they want Israel to not exist as a Jewish state. They want all of it to be Palestine from the river to the sea. And that's how a lot of like not everybody feels that, like, goes that far in terms of like basically just completely glazing Hamas and wanting Israeli civilians to die. Like, that's pretty extreme. Like, even Hassan doesn't go that far. But a lot of the people who are on that side of the aisle think that Israel should not exist as a Jewish state anymore. And so I think there's a level, at least for some of them, the commentators, of calculation in saying it's a genocide, because it further vilifies Israel. They can't just be committing crimes against humanity. You know, if you're doing genocide, you don't negotiate with countries that are doing genocide. You go in and you take them out. That's typically what's been like happening throughout history, or they usually get overthrown. And if there's any kind of justice, that's usually what justice is conceived of looking like. Even if those people don't go to before the Hague, they usually still get tried like within their own countries, you know?
Okay, how much of it do you think just okay? Do you think it's more probable that they actually just think it's a genocide
No, I'm
and they
sure.
feel like there needs to be some genocide?
I think they do think it's a
That there needs to be
genocide,
some
but
sort of justice?
yeah, that's right. And for them, the justice that they think should happen should be that Israel stops existing as a country, and that all of like
No, okay, okay,
Netanyahu and
okay, but
everyone
the
get put
point
before
is
the Hague.
you're the thing is you're framing it as if like the justice part is the primary driver as to like the genocidal
No,
accusations.
I
I don't
think that they
know if that's
actually,
the
I
case.
think they absolutely believe that it's a genocide. But I'm saying that part of their belief that it's a genocide stems from their belief that they think Israel is an evil cartoon villain, because and that they have a one-sided
Okay.
view of the conflict, and that they are not able to like look at it from Israel's shoes or understand like why Israelis would feel the way that they do, in the same way that a crazy Israeli right-winger can't understand why Palestinians feel like they do.
I mean, I think it's important to like, even if you're accusing your fucking perpetrator as of complete, like this is actually one of the things that Holocaust historians would actually and ironically point out against. Okay, I'm not making the
I
Holocaust,
know you're not.
comparative.
It's if you want to no, if you want to bring up
Yeah,
the Holocaust, that's fine. The Holocaust is my
no,
special interest.
this is
So
like the Holocaust is like such an easy example of natural of like obvious evil wrongdoing,
yes,
right?
yes,
But
yes,
Holocaust historians uh, they advise against just looking at it from that perspective.
yeah, of
Because
course.
then, if you just look at it from that perspective, what the fuck do you learn? You
Yeah,
know?
you want to, yes, of course. Obviously, Hitler was a human being, and all the other people around him were human
So,
beings. And it's important to recognize that and to try to like understand what was it that they were thinking that led them to do all these terrible things? What motivated them? What was their ideological positions and all these sorts of things? You know, but like
okay,
there's also stuff related to that too that I think is interesting, because there are people on the left who will say that, who will think that they're doing that with Israelis. But the problem is that the conclusion that they draw is that they go, oh, they're just racist and they hate the Palestinians and want them to die. Or like the description of Zionism as an inherently like settler colonialist, like Jewish supremacist ideology that thinks that like they're better than everybody else, you know, like where you're starting from like a place where you're already vilifying what it was that the Israelis were trying to accomplish, or like why they were trying to accomplish it, or why they felt that way. And like you're immediately beginning from this place of like when I don't think that that's fair, because I think that Zionism, it stems from something real. And I don't think that, and I know you're not comparing Zionism to Nazism, but a lot of people who do like use this kind of logic, like whereas like the conspiracies and shit that the Nazis were running with about like the injustice that was committed against the Germans didn't come from a real place, because it was bullshit. Like the fact that they pinned it on the Jews. The only thing that was real about it was that Germany lost the war and that things were shitty for Germans, but it wasn't for the reasons that the Nazis said that it was. And like you can find this all throughout. Like the Armenian genocide has this too, where it was based on this lie that the Armenians, most of whom were loyal Ottoman citizens, were like going to rise up and like try to become an autonomous region or whatever, when that wasn't true. And but that was what the logic the Ottomans used to basically go in and kill them, or death march them and then kill them. Um, so I mean, like, yeah, like, and
mm,
I think that that's the issue that I have, is that they'll like, yeah, I'm putting myself in Israel's shoes, and they're all just racist and evil, and they believe in this Jewish supremacist ideology, when like that's not true. It's way more complicated than that.
yeah. I mean, the point I was trying to make is, um, you can still have justifiable. You can still be like I would consider Israel to be a radical society right now. I would consider Israel, the IDF, to be cartoonishly evil.
Yeah,
Like so,
I
I mean,
don't.
then
Yeah,
I'd be one of those people. but
Um,
sure.
I mean, like, you might
But
not
like,
be
I
as
can
bad, but
understand.
yeah.
Okay, I can understand why they're like that. Like I don't think pure evil or pure goodness exists.
Yeah, me
That's
either.
like some biblical shit. Like I
That's
don't fucking like
yeah,
what.
yeah, I agree. That's like
Like
cartoon crap. But like, I mean,
everything is based on motivations, but like you can't argue that they're like you can still argue that yeah, what they're doing is injustice and it's really morally
I
not
mean, I think that
right.
some of what they're doing is like unjust, but also that's another thing too. By the way, a lot of the people who think that it's genocide and who think that like Israel is like some sort of unique cartoon villain, they also don't think that Israel has any right to self-defense, and they don't think that Israel had any right to respond to October 7th. And I think that like,
I
but
don't know, I
like,
think that's dumb.
hmm?
I mean, dude, if you want my fuck, I 100% agree with them trying to like fucking take out Hamas. I don't like hate that. I just
Okay.
think that the way that they're doing it is intentionally is not necessarily that,
I
I
mean,
don't think they have
yeah,
I
I
don't really
think, honestly,
I think okay, then that's where our disagreements are, right? That's where our disagreements are. I don't
yeah.
really buy that they actually just want to take out Hamas and they want to save the hostages 100%. That's their intent. I think there's also a level of like revenge after the fact of October 7th that they're indulging in
Mm-hmm.
with the war,
I mean,
and that's
yeah,
where the charges of genocide comes from, you
I
know?
I think that that is more. I think that that was more the case, like particularly more so maybe near like near the beginning of the war or whatever. But I don't. I like the thing is that I think that like I don't think that like seeking revenge is necessarily the same thing as like saying to ourselves, okay, you know what, fuck it, we're just gonna wipe out all these people. We want to completely destroy the Palestinians. Like I think there's like a level of, and also I
Yeah, I
think
didn't
that
say that.
I think yeah, but
Okay.
that's what I think would be required for it to be genocide. I also think that there is a level of like I think that individual actions by soldiers on the ground who are doing war crimes, or like people who are like what happened to I think what's her Rind Hijab, I think was her name, like the little girl that was in the car that was like trying to drive somewhere at night. They were trying to like escape and they got fired on by a tank, and like I think her parents died, and she was like on the phone trying to call the ambulance, and then she got fired on again and she died. Like shit like that is like yeah, that's just like a fucking war crime, and somebody was just being a trigger happy asshole because they wanted to kill Palestinians. Like I'm not denying that that shit kind of shit happens. There's absolutely been war crimes. I just don't think that like you are gonna like
You don't think that okay, you
why
don't
can't
think
we
that
just
there's
say that that's a crime against humanity? Why you got to use the G word, you know?
because I think there is okay, personally, I don't know, I can't fucking speak to the others, right? But personally, I think that there is somewhat of an intent to enable this. I think there is an intent to like actually want this to happen, like these incidents to happen, and you're kind of like, and it's done under the basis of them being Palestinians, and you just you you want to do like this fucking us versus them
Yeah,
tribalism shit.
I feel
You
like
want to punish them.
I feel like at this point we're like looping or whatever, because like I just
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's like 4:30 a.m. So I wanted to like actually just
yeah, you should probably
uh
go. Yeah,
sleep.
like I said, I don't agree, but like I've already like gave my arguments as to why. Yeah, like there does seem to be like a lot of sort of vibe-ish stuff there, but like I guess like I understand like why or whatever. It's just that, and by the way, like I don't know if you'd be right about this, because this feels like a little bit much to me. Like I feel like there would be a lot more information now, or a lot more information that would come out that would like be pointing towards this in order to like show this was the case. But all that being said, like, I mean, I do think the IDF needs to be reformed. And like, and I think that that's something that needs to happen. And maybe they need to end mandatory conscription in order to do that. I don't know, but there needs to be something that would have to like change. And I think that it would be very important for them to reform in this way as well too, because of stuff in the West Bank. Because like it's like I think they have to hold their soldiers accountable. And I also think, and there, by the way, there, in case you didn't know, there are mechanisms within the IDF to hold soldiers accountable. There are, you can, if you see somebody doing like war crimes and shit, there are mechanisms to report it. There's all kinds of stuff. Like Funky served in the IDF. Like if you want, at some point, we could get him back in here, and like maybe we could talk to him about this, because I'm sure he probably has insight into this shit that like that you and I don't have. You know. Because like, and he's not going to deny that there were war crimes. Like he's not going to whitewash the IDF. Yeah,
Yeah.
or that they do war crimes.
I mean, that's fine. Like, I don't know if that's going to change my opinion, because I feel like, okay, I guess my main argument is, yeah, these mechanisms can exist, sure, but like, are they actually being used?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that it's
Like, that's
possible.
my argument,
It's possible that they're
right?
not
Like,
being
there
used.
could be this pipeline of like, oh, an airstrike needs to be approved by a lawyer, but if the lawyer isn't actually putting any of his input, which was the case for at least one commander, right? And like, well, what the fuck is the point of
Yeah, I mean,
lawyer?
the thing is that
What is
I'm
the point
not.
of the whole system,
I'm not denying
right?
that there's probably like individual instances of this. It's just that my issue is like I don't think that there's evidence that we can just broaden this out and assume this is happening everywhere constantly all the time.
Okay. I mean, okay, but like, okay, I just wanna, if this is okay, just assume that this is happening at a mass scale. Sure, there's no evidence. I think right now that there's no that there isn't enough evidence, but I think there is something to point to that direction, in my opinion. But let's say that this is actually happening at a mass scale. I'm trying to gauge you now. Like, would that be enough for you to consider this a genocide, or yeah?
I'd still like there would still be more questions that I would want to ask. Like if this
Okay,
was
so
like a courtroom, then what I would probably do is like we would probably like want to be conducting interviews of the people who also people are saying in chat that lawyers are usually for Israeli Air Force strikes, right? So not like the IDF is the army.
Oh,
But
I mean, okay,
yes.
I don't fucking, I am not like that
But
knowledgeable
that's
regarding that.
usually,
Okay,
yeah, like typically
I'm not.
also
I have
also
no fucking
I do
idea
just
regarding
I just want to like
that
bring
shit.
one other thing in this as well too, like just so we know, as oh, there's a big beef between ground units and the IAF, like big. Oh, that's interesting. I'd be curious to hear about that. But like, so here's the thing, this is one other thing that I will also, that this is also something else that is also pointed out as well too, is that like if we're talking about doing airstrikes, that means that you're firing like a missile or dropping a bomb, and that's just expensive. You're not just gonna do that for the lulz in order to kill a bunch of civilians because ha ha ha, I woke up this morning and decided that I wanted to murder a bunch of Palestinian civilians. Like that shit costs money. Like it costs a lot of money actually. So you're probably not just gonna do that because you feel like, you know what I mean? Like yeah, unless you're alleging, but like I feel like that's not something that is just gonna be a thing that unless your theory is true, you know. But yeah, like whereas Russia
I don't know.
is, yeah, actually I think this
They're gonna be
argument,
that. Yeah, I don't know if that's like okay.
I think this argument applies,
Like
actually,
if
it
they're
applies even more to Russia, because when Russia is attacking Ukrainian cities, they often do so with cheap shit ass Shahed drones that they buy from Iran and not like missiles, although sometimes they will shoot missiles to reach targets that are further away. But yeah, like it's not like yeah, they're not necessarily wasting as much money as like yeah, whereas like I feel like Israel is yeah.
I mean, my argument, I don't know. I feel like if they're that indifferent and their main idea is that they want to take as much scrap of shitty intel that they want or they can, try and punish the Palestinians. Um,
Okay, I mean, if you're talking
the
about
price
trying to
of it.
gauge me, I think I would need to answer your question. I would need more information in terms of like the intent. Like this is something like if somebody does an airstrike and there was like a shitty and like they did an airstrike based on shitty intel, you would need to. I think an investigation would be required in order to figure out. Okay, like why did you do
Okay. I'm not.
this?
I don't want to get into that, dude. It's like fucking 4 a.m. for me right
Okay,
now.
that's fine. But yeah, I'm just saying yeah, that would be my answer in terms of you trying to gauge me. My answer would be I still need more info.
Okay, but like, let's say everything that I said is actually happening, is actually real, right? I don't know if you would still consider that a genocide. Like, let's say there is like a lot of info, like their intent is they want to like punish the Palestinians in some sense. They want to punish the Palestinians, and they're kind of using it at a post hoc type of way, as a post hoc type of way that they're gonna try and get any bit of intel and a bit of shitty intel that they can use to like yeah, do that. Like, let's say this is happening at a mass scale, then like I'm not sure even if you would consider that a genocide.
Hold on. Okay, so if we have let's just say let's say we have a guy, okay, or like we have like a commander dude, and him in conjunction with like a lawyer, okay, and he's like in the Israeli Air Force, okay, and like and his lawyer says, I'll sign off on every strike that you want to do. Don't worry, buddy. Um, and like well, I mean, this guy even is saying in chat like there needs to be a document, someone would leak it, like there were already leaks from the IDF during the past 2 years, so just saying yeah, I'd be curious to read more about that. But anyway, so let's just say that yeah, so there's like a higher up, a commander who orders strikes, okay, and he wants to kill lots of Palestinians, and he knows that his intel is fake or shitty, or like that there's no Hamas there at this apartment building, but he decides that
Or
but there's a whole bunch of civilians there, and
low chance of Hamas, like low chance of Hamas doesn't really care, like shit like that.
okay,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, okay, hold on, let me finish. So he says
there's
that,
still a lot
and
of uncertainty,
well,
you
yeah, or
know.
not even, yeah, and there's not, okay, and he decides to do this.
What he knows that if he knows the actions that he's taking is very much likely to cause a lot of deaths, disproportionate to the civilians.
Well, I mean,
Like, that is like
that's
what I'm
no.
trying to. That is
Okay,
what I'm
well,
trying to
yeah,
ask.
but when you say disproportionate, though, like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Like when you do a proportionality assessment, oftentimes there's going to be more civilians that are killed than there is like enemy combatants. And like you have to like weigh that and determine that, and like the international law does not like it requires you to do proportionality assessments, but it doesn't like mandate like a specific like number or whatever, as far as I'm aware. So, but regardless, what I'm saying is like, so let's say that there is like a okay, so you have this guy, and he decides that he's gonna that he okays this strike, knowing full well that a bunch of civilians are gonna die. And not only does he not care, but he's okay with it. He's good with it, in fact. In fact, what he's actually doing is that he's going out of his way to like the shitty evidence is sort of like he's covering his tracks this way.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a way for him to like kind of
Yeah, but he doesn't,
justify it,
yeah, it is.
not to like
Okay.
even to himself,
Yeah,
right?
but
Like
hold
even to
on.
himself. That's
There's more, because I'm not finished yet. Okay, now that he does this one time, all right. Now let's say he does this just like one time, and like this never happens again. I probably wouldn't consider that alone a genocide. But let's say we found like a case where it would like this one dude was continuously doing this over and over and over again, and like there was this big investigation into it after the fact, and it was looked into, and it was found that like based on things that he had said to the lawyer and things that he had said to other people, or like other such things like that, the fact that like they find this pattern of behavior, then yeah, I would say that guy is, yeah, that you could say that that guy is like committing acts of genocide, because he's trying to kill
okay,
Palestinian civilians on purpose.
right. So that's actually so. Okay, my argument for that is I think that this is happening at a larger scale. It's not just like that one guy, right?
Yeah,
That's what I feel like might be
okay,
happening.
yeah, I know, but the
That's what I
thing,
feel is happening, right?
yeah,
So, okay, you can disagree with that. You can disagree with that.
I don't,
Just
yeah, I don't
assume
have
that
think
that's
there's
true. Assume
evidence,
that's
but
true is right. Yeah, sure.
yes,
Just assume
yes,
that
if it was happening
that's
on a
true. I'm
larger
trying to gauge.
scale, then yes, it would be genocide.
Okay,
If there was
that's
like a
okay.
whole
So at
bunch of
least
instances of that guy, if there were lots of other people that were doing what our hypothetical IAF commander guy is doing, then yes.
okay. So that's where my position is at. Okay, so then we can. Well, I mean, we obviously still disagree
Yeah,
as to
because
what is
I
happening on a
don't,
section of
because
ground.
yeah, because I don't think that I'm doubtful that that is the case. But I mean,
Okay.
maybe it is, I don't know, but like I don't like I think that like the stuff like with people like Yehuda Vosh on the ground is more likely to be like we're like I don't think that it's like the entire system. I think it's like I think that the systemic accountability is like the negligence thing. I think it's more likely that but that you could probably find like commanders on the ground who maybe you could say were doing acts of genocide, but there would have to be investigations. And
Oh,
unfortunately,
but
that's
that's not.
probably not going to happen. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that's part of my argument as well. It's not just the IAF. Like I was like, there's probably actors within the IDF. There's probably actors with the border that is like that is that is administering the aid and like doing the checkups. Like I think like these all of these things kind of add up in their head. Like the main common thing is that in their head they kind of just want to fucking fuck over the Palestinians. They know their actions will lead to the suffering of the Palestinians, and they're still doing it. Is like kind of like my assessment on what is happening in Gaza.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, whatever. Like this is like 440. I don't want to fucking.
No, yeah.
take
We
up
don't
time.
have to. We don't have to go over it again. It's totally
All right.
fine.
Bye.
I think that's fair.
All right. It was nice talking to you. It was nice talking to you. Okay. Let me know if
Yeah,
you want to talk more. Okay.
yeah,
Genuinely.
absolutely.
Take care.
Yep. All right. Bye.